I am Byron Doss. I grew up in Grand Rapids. I also went to school here, high school and college. I graduated in 2010 with a degree in chemistry and a minor in psychology. During the course of my college years, I worked doing various jobs, which included working for temp services and usually holding two up to three jobs sometimes while in school as a full-time student to make sure that I had enough money to get through school. What was happening was I was brought in through a temp service to go work for a couple different factories. The agreement that I was told was that we would be paid a certain amount per hour, and to start off, we should have been getting about 56 hours a week because these companies were in high demand of workers and they had a lot of things that they had to get done. When I got to the job site in question, the first job site, when we came in, there were two other temp services that were also bringing in people. So the company had access of about 100 workers the first night that they didn't need. We all walked into the factory, we waited around. Some people left because we were just standing there for the first 2 hours doing nothing. And then after that, they just sent us all home. So I called in, told the temp service that this is what happened. They told us to come back out to the same place the next night. We came back out again, and there was another extra 70 people. We walk in, we're still standing around waiting for work. Some of the lines broke down. There's issues here, there's issues there. And once again, we all get sent home after 2 hours of work. So eventually what ends up happening is for my first week of work for this company, I ended up getting 2 hours of work out of the 56 that I was told I'd be getting for the next couple months. So the temp service sent me over to another plant where we started working third shift, and then eventually it switched to 12-hour shifts. After that happened, I started getting my hours. One week I get 36, the next week I get 48 because they're rotating shifts. And then I came up to the problem where I wasn't getting paid the full amount of my checks. For the first week, I worked 48 hours, and I ended up only getting about $180 out of my whole check. So they said, oh, you know, this is common. We make mistakes here and there, and all you really need to do is come in, fill out a missing hours form, and we'll get you your check next week. So I go in, I fill out for my missing hours, and the next week comes around, and not only did I not get that money, but my next check is also messed up, and my hours there are wrong as well. So now for my first 3 weeks of work, not only did I get the hours I told I would get, I would also not be getting most of my checks. So I come back in, I tell them, you know, you need to fix my checks, you need to get me my money for my hours, and they said, oh, well, we just need to track your hours. If something went wrong, it should be in the computer, we should be able to find them. And the employees who were hired into the company said that anytime they had any issues with their hours, they could just go up to the main office, and the main office would just look them up right there and fix them. So I did the same thing, and they said, oh, you know, this takes all day, we can't find them. But some of the other employees who were working through the temp services supervisors would walk up and they find them right there for them. And so I'm like, if you can find their hours, what's taking you so long to find my hours? And it's like, oh, we'll get them eventually. So I kept working for the company because this was the job that was around right now. And my third and fourth week came around, and I got some of my money back from the checks I was missing. But then my fourth check was off. And so it put me right back in the hole because I had to pay rent and my bills that week, and I'm still off by a couple $100s. So eventually, this company was losing a lot of employees because of the 12-hour shifts and because some people weren't getting paid on time, so they just started leaving. And I told them, if you don't give me my money for my hours and stuff, I'm just going to leave. And sure enough, the next day, my check had all my hours in it, and I got my money back. So I kept working for another 2 weeks, and once again, my checks were messed up and my hours were off. So I went into the temp service again to tell them about this and had to wait in line because there's 4 other people ahead of me who were all complaining about the same thing. Where's the hours for my check? Why aren't you paying me the right amount? So they set us down in the office and said, write down your hours, we'll get it to you. And then they gave us a T-shirt to apologize for not getting us our hours. And then we all left. So I went back to working, and my check the next week still didn't cover what it was supposed to. And then I said, you know what? If you can't give me my hours, I can't keep working here. And I ended up leaving to go back to another job with another temp service because they called me in to come work for them. And pretty much my whole time with this company was every week my check is off, and I have to go in and constantly keep going in to get them to give me my money. And even in the end, I still didn't get all of my money, but it's just not worth putting up with to keep going through that.
Mi nombre es Eric Valencia y llevo aquí en Grand Rapids, llevo alrededor de 13 años. Un trabajador común y corriente. Casi me dedico a trabajar en tiendas mexicanas y es lo que he llevado desde hace mucho tiempo. Bueno, lo que pasa que desde hace como 10 años, no recuerdo perfectamente, trabajaba yo en una tienda normal, común y corriente. Fui contratado. El patrón me contrató para desempeñar un trabajo en su tienda. Más que nada, todo iba corriendo perfectamente. Los pagos, iba corriendo todo bien. Después, alrededor de unos 2-3 meses, la persona, no sé, hubo un fallo. Él nos decía que había un fallo en su banco, en las ganancias, en cualquier otra cosa. Y nos empezaba a pagar ya después en cheques personales. Que los cheques personales nos rebotaron porque no tenían fondos ni tenían dinero. Y nosotros, pues, yo pienso que los trabajadores que estábamos ahí por la necesidad de estar trabajando, nos aguantábamos un buen tiempo. Así transcurrió alrededor de 3-4 meses y no recibíamos salario. Incluso últimamente yo me iba a salir como alrededor de los 2 meses y medio y la persona me firmaron un cheque por la cantidad de considerable, $1,200 recuerdo, pero no tenían ningún fondo tampoco. Ellos me decían que ellos iban a responder, que iban a pagar, hasta que no hicieron nada por nosotros. Solo que nosotros fuimos a poner una demanda, fuimos a corte. Incluso fueron como 3 ocasiones en las que asistimos a corte y no nos arreglaron nada de eso. Nada más nos mandaban a llamar y a apelar, pero la persona, el dueño del negocio, no se presentaba a las cortes y ellos no podían hacer nada. Incluso traigo pruebas de todo eso, traigo pruebas de las cortes, traigo pruebas de sus cheques, del payroll que estaba corriendo bien y nadie hizo nada. Bastante, porque en realidad necesitábamos el dinero, necesitábamos pagar biles como cualquier otra persona, teníamos que pagar muchas cosas. Incluso yo, antes de ese trabajo, tenía un poquito tiempo de no haber trabajado, que tenía un poco de dinero guardado ahí, y se me fue acabando, hasta que ya no tenía nada de dinero. Solo que la persona, el dueño de la tienda, no respondía por nada. Incluso ya después, ya que vio las demandas el señor, se enojaba. Decía que él no iba a pagar nada, que él no tenía que pagar nada, que es más, que la tienda le iba a poner a nombre de otra persona, que él no tenía nada que ver, que él como patrón ya no iba a hacer nada y que le hiciéramos como quisiéramos. El señor cerró el negocio y no nos arreglaron nada de eso. De que son muy comunes y frecuentes y más en la comunidad hispana, la mayoría. Todo por tener miedo o tal vez por necesidad, porque últimamente el trabajo es muy deficiente aquí en la ciudad y casi no lo hay. Y la gente se conforma con cualquier tipo de trabajo, cualquier tipo de... la forma de ganar dinero. No pueden hacer nada, solo que hay gente que se aguanta y hay gente, aunque sigue trabajando, es amenazada y nadie nos ayuda, nadie sabemos de ayudas ni nada de eso. Solo que la persona tiene que aguantar salarios deficientes, tiene que aguantar maltratos, tiene que aguantar amenazas y siguen trabajando simplemente por la necesidad de seguir adelante. Tienen que hacer algo por su familia, tienen que hacer algo por sí mismos. Aquí en Estados Unidos es lamentable que si no trabajas, no tienes para pagar tus cosas personales. Que en realidad que las personas que les haya pasado algo así como esto, algún caso de esto, no se dejen y traten de buscar ayuda. Esperemos que la puedan encontrar. Y estos casos son muy frecuentes, muy frecuentes. Y así como yo, hay muchas personas que le ha pasado, no nada más soy yo. En cualquier parte donde vayas, tú conoces gente que le ha pasado todo esto. Mas no lo hace por el miedo a las amenazas de la gente o de los patrones.
I am a single mother. I've been in the area for about 10 years. Worked for the same place for several years. Gone to school. Could get to change my life, but I haven't gotten that far yet. So we feel like we're being taken advantage of. We feel like half the time we're working for free. When you're working 29 hours and you get a $15 paycheck, it hurts. Not that they're much at $2.65 an hour anyway, but and when you have to go in and ask why the deductions are being taken out of your paycheck because nothing was said to you during the week, there's no forewarning, there's nothing stating, hey, your check's going to be short this much because of this. It's hard to believe that he's being honest with any of it, or the manager's being honest with any of his recordings. So we feel like we're, being ripped off half the time. Well, I guess when you're a server and you're making $2.65 an hour, but you are also a busser, and you are also a cashier. These are minimum wage jobs that we do for $2.65 an hour. And of course tips, but I think that, the cleaning that goes along with it, the setup, the tear down, we are only allowed so much time in that. When our doors lock, and nobody else is allowed in, but there are still people in the restaurant, we have a half hour from close time to get out of the restaurant, or we don't get paid. But if people don't leave until 25 after, and we're still there doing what's expected of us, we don't get paid for that. Actually decreases our tips most of the time, because if you have somebody that has come in and ordered their food, and you have somebody else that wants to leave, and you have another table that has walked in and sat at a dirty table, now not only are you over there trying to clean the dirty table and set up the new table, you have food sitting in the window because you're over there cashing the gentleman out that wants to leave and get to work, and the other guy's sitting there waiting for his breakfast as it sits under the light. But the other person wants their coffee, so you're trying to clean their table and give them coffee all at the same time. And we do that for, $2.65 an hour. So people don't like to wait. They don't like to see their food sitting in the window. They don't like to wait at the cash register. So it does decrease the tip, and that they had to wait. So, well, we're busy, and that's because the staff is cut down to a minimum, and there's only one person to do it all. I would like to see change. I would like to see small business owners held more accountable, because they're not corporate. There's nobody looking out, seeing what they are doing. I would like the small business owners to have to answer to somebody, have somebody regulate them and how they are treating their employees. Because I think it's getting a little out of hand with the business owners saying they're trying to save theirs if they are in fact profiting quite a bit while the small guy loses. So we're all trying to make it, so we should all be allowed to do that.
My name is Lupe Ramos Montini. I have been in this community for 34 years, and out of those 34, 30 plus have been as a teacher in the Grand Rapids Public Schools. I was able to work throughout my career as a principal, as a bilingual director, and of course my passion was in the classroom, so most of it was in the classroom. I retired 3 years ago, and now I devote myself to community activism and political activism. I am proud to say today that I'm wearing the hat as the chair of the committee to honor Cesar E. Chavez. The wage theft problem is extensive in our city, and I am very passionate when it comes to people that are not served with justice, that social justice is not part of their treatment. They're not treated with dignity and respect. I tend to say, Lupe, this is a place where you need to work and help people. There's a couple that I know, and I'm gonna call them Juan and Maria. Juan and Maria were parents of one of my students, and they work extremely hard. They have 3 children, to the point that they gathered pop bottles all year round so they could buy Christmas gifts in December. Now, through the process of my acquaintance with them, Juan was laid off after 12 years in this company. But he didn't say, oh, poor me, I can't do anything else. So what he did is he started his own little company. And he started with just Miss Ramos. And he used to do my lawn, and Maria would clean my house, and I would pay him. Then we got to the point of, let's make you a card, and let's tell my friends. I have quite an extensive group of friends, and so to make the story short, he started his own business. They're real proud people. They didn't want to go through welfare. But what was very troubling to me is that Juan not only started doing my work at my house, but he started working with a company, and a small company too, like what he was trying to start. And they did not pay him the hours that he had worked. He went and they paid him with a check. And he took the check to the neighborhood grocery store. They cashed it for him, and it bounced. Then he had to pay the store the fee and the bank the fee. And so when he went to tell this small company, this is what happened, they gave him the runaround. By that time, it was not only that check, it was an additional check. So I think it amounted to 3 checks plus the fees, and he never was paid for that work that he did. So this makes me very, very unhappy, and I react. And so I've been involved with many different families, talking to people, and they tell me about their stories. It is a prevalent problem here in our city. These people that do it, most of them, are well-to-do companies. They don't have to disrespect people, exploit people. They have money to pay. And so now with Juan, I help him with his contracts with people, and we make sure that they know before he starts the jobs how much it's going to cost. And they're doing very well, but they work 12 hours a day. And so I'm very vigilant that they don't exploit them like these people did. Maria has had the same problem when she says, this is the amount of hours that I worked. And they'll say, well, if it's 12, let's say, they say, no, you work 10. And she says, well, but look, I have it documented. It is 12. And they say, well, we're only going to pay you for 10. So, you know, these are people that I love, that are loyal to me, that I'm loyal to. They were parents to my students. So I'm going to help them in any way that I can. The MICA Center and the Michigan Organizing Effort approached the committee with the information that we needed to connect the dots, because I had already heard about the effort that was being made, and I had heard that Mayor George Hartwell had appointed a committee. So it was a good thing that these two groups joined together and came to, and approached the committee with the information that we needed to connect the dots. Every year, the Committee to Honor Cesar Y. Chavez adopts a cause that is very related to the life and the legacy of Cesar. And so we saw that wage theft was the one that we had to adopt this year. Mayor George Hartwell, in his wisdom, saw the necessity of this investigation and the gathering of this information, testimonies. And I'm hoping that the MICA Center and the Michigan Organizing Project come to a conclusion with this documentary that is going to be a positive, actionary